Okay, so part two. Now, if you look, part one, we did the line graph right here. In part two, we're going to make, in the assignment, it says to make a scatter plot. We're going to change the scatter plot and use a box plot, really because we want to identify the outliers. And that's key to this. So a scatter plot usually graphs two measures against each other to see if there's a relationship. This box plot is actually going to show the distribution of the patient's HbA1c values or measure values, and we should be able to quickly see where the outliers are. So I'm going to change my tab. I inserted a new tab. I'm going to rename this HbA1c box plot. Okay, and the naming is going to be come into play in a few minutes. So this is kind of a handy thing. You'll notice also the title by default. The title reflects whatever the sheet name is. Okay, so HbA1c line, HbA1c box plot. Okay, so first thing we want to do, we're going to use the same data source that we did in the lab. We're going to actually go down to HbA1c. We're going to drag that up here. You can see by default, it gives us the sum. You can see the sum of all the HbA1c values is about 19,000. We're going to change that to a dimension. Okay, so now it's going to give us all those individual values. You can see 5 all the way to 13.9. Now, to make sure that we have everything going the way we want it, we're going to bring the patient, this name refers to the patient name. We're going to bring that to here. So now this is going to give us the patient for each of these values. Okay, and so that's just a way to confirm that we're aggregating it to the patient. Okay. All right, now part of this is to see where the physician's panel is. So we want to see where the provider is. So we're going to bring provider to there. And now we have this nice distribution. Here's all of our providers across this axis. And then we have this nice distribution of values and patients for going across. Now this really is still kind of messy. And so I'm going to change this automatic bar graph to a circle so that we have our nice circles. I'm actually going to make this a little bit smaller. So now you can see that kind of distribution going up and down. And to insert our box graph or our box distribution, we're just going to right click on here, click on add reference line, and we're going to go box plot. And this data within 1.5 times the IQR refers to the interquartile range. So this range, if you look at the light gray bars, are actually up to the 75th percentile. The dark bars go down to the 25th percentile. And then the whiskers, these lines with the little hats, those extend to 1.5 times that range. So anything outside of that range is going to be statistically significant outlier. Okay, so I'll just show that. I'm going to click OK. So I'll show what I mean. And so right now, Alfred here has a distribution up from the median for this is going to be a median of 8 for HbA1c. The upper quartile range is 9. The upper whisker, the IQR, 1.5 times the IQR, is 10.9, which means this little lonely dot up here of 12.9 is actually considered a statistical outlier. So this is a really great test to figure out where your values are. Now, when we did our line graph, we included the different clinics as well as the year. And so what I want to do is I want to apply this filter to our box plot. And the way to do that is to click on this little down arrow, go to Apply Worksheets, Selected Worksheets, and now we can apply it to our HbA1c box plot. And that year, this clinic, you'll see this little symbol denotes that it applies to other worksheets. You'll see on this, that clinic shows up. And so now we're only really looking at the clinics that are here, which are Aroostook, Cumberland, and Androscoggin. Let's do that with the year as well. So we're going to apply the worksheet, selected worksheets. We're going to apply that to the box plot, click OK. And so now we have the clinics. I'm going to show the filter. So you can see our 3 clinics here, and you can see our show filter, our date of 2015. Okay, so 2015 are 3 clinics, 2015 are 3 clinics. So what I want to do is retitle this distribution of patient HbA1c um, values for, I'm going to insert the year, so year, lab date. I'm also going to insert the clinic. There we have it. I'm going to highlight that font, make it blue, click apply. And so now we have our distribution of patient HbA1c values 2015 for Androscoggin, Aroostook, and Cumberland. Click OK. And you can see that some of these providers, they don't really have more than one patient with an HbA1c value, and there's really not a whole lot of outliers. This provider only has 2. Let's see if 2016 makes it a little bit different. A little bit different. You can see there's an outlier here at 13.9 for them. Now, the other kind of neat thing is that these providers are associated with only these 3 clinics. So if we change these to Knox and Lincoln, you're going to see different providers popping up. Just kind of a neat function. Okay. Okay. Now, before we go too far down the road, I did create a couple other big graphs here. I figured these are graphs that we've done already in the past, but they are a little bit different. So we have our sorted bar charts to show recent performance. We're going to do this here. This shows the HbA1c values. I'm going to apply the same filter, but you're going to see the different locations. And I'm going to rotate the label there so that we can see which clinic is which. These are also colored, so you have a nice little bar color chart over here. In fact, I'll move that there so we can see it better. So now I am actually going to apply these to these other worksheets real quick. So click those, and I'm going to apply the year to those same worksheets. So these purple sheets, click OK. Double check these purple sheets, make sure we have the same values. Perfect. Okay, so now we need to create our interactive dashboard. First thing I like to do, I like to change the size of this dashboard to be a letter landscape. This way it just makes it much easier to print out if you need to make copies, if you need to have any sort of meeting materials. I like to have this set up simply because it's easy to print. Okay, now over here you'll see these are all the different worksheets in our Tableau workbook. And right here you'll see our HbA1c line, HbA1c box plot, pie chart, clinic, provider, and patient. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to pull the clinic over, and this is going to kind of drop off that sheet. I'm going to drag it over, make it just fit right inside of that. You can see our 3 clinics are showing, and here they are. You can see these are the 2 filters that were showing before. So we have a year and we have our clinic. I'm actually going to make this a drop down so it doesn't take as much room up. And I'm going to move it right up to there. So now we can change the year of our clinic pretty easily just by clicking on these filters. And you'll see the graphs update when I click on those. Now our clinic colors, I'm just going to bring right up to here. So we have our nice little color legend over there. Okay. So the next, let's add in our line graph. So here's a line chart of what our values are. You can see again, the filters are brought over, but since these filters represent those filters, in fact, we don't even really need that color. We just need the year. Okay. And since these clinics are going to be, I'll just move clinic there. So actually, if we were to change this to Franklin, Hancock, and Kennebunk, you can see that not only were they added to the bar graph, but they're also added to the line graph, which is pretty handy. We have the year, we have those. This does say that two more, which we mentioned in the line graph video. And then let's add a box plot so we can see our distribution of patients. See that breaks down right there by provider. Here are all of our different providers for those locations. We're going to break this back down to Androscoggin, Rustic, Cumberland. And then one other thing that I figured I'd add in this nice little pie chart. So I'm going to close that filter because we don't need it. These are our, okay. And this is actually really quite large. You can see the little scroll bar on the side. And so what I'm going to have to do, there's a couple of options we can do. In fact, I think I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, drag it down to about right there. In fact, could even make it a little bit more smaller. I'm going to move the labels just by clicking and holding down the mouse or holding down the key. And here is this is what our color wheel means for these right here. Let me just move this around. And it's a lot of this is really just fooling around with how to best position things. I think right here is probably better. Okay, and there we have it. We have a nice little pie graph showing the percentage that are missing and meeting. In fact, you know what I want to do? I'm going to change this. I had previously set that up, but I prefer to be consistent. So let's just, and we're going to make that clinic right here, blue. Yeah. And there we have it. So we have this really nice little uh, 2016 interactive dashboard that shows HbA1c scores for various clinics and places, providers and patients, um, which is it's fairly nice to look at as well. So so give this a try and give me a shoot me an email if you run into any troubles. Okay, thank you.